Hello folks, welcome to my channel. Slovak Sun 1 here, and yes, I'm back in the Thropter, or Ornithopter. As you can see, however, I am taking off this time from Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. Yes, I am a North Coaster, I am a Clevelander. I won't mention where exactly I live in Cleveland, but I live in the general vicinity. I'm going to be heading north along the lake, probably heading towards Detroit eventually. And we're going to see some scenery on the way. This is a very, as if you saw my previous video, I am brand new to this as far as streaming. But I absolutely love the Thropter. And it's very adaptable and very easy to fly. Flies very much like a helicopter, but has airplane characteristics. I'm going to start taking off now. Heading to 4-1. Course off, silly me. Start veering towards the lake.
TWC Delta leaving my airspace frequency change approved.
Is in Northeast Ohio, which is
Cleveland
a great
Tower
lake state for
TWC
those who are
Delta
not
frequency
familiar with the United
change.
States.
Cleveland approach TWC Delta is type 2 miles west of Cleveland,
Suburbs,
3,000
actually, that is
feet.
the
Request
local
clearance to
malls
transition
right
Bravo
down there
airspace.
below. Sears.
TWC Delta Cleveland
I'm
approach.
heading towards
Squawk
Rocky
6524.
River and Lakewood, which are suburbs of inner ring
Squawk
suburbs
6524
of
TWC
Cleveland.
Delta.
Heading straight for
TWC
Lakewood.
Delta radar contact 3 miles northwest of Cleveland, 4,100
to
feet.
show you a little bit. We're
Cleared
flying
through
a
the
little low
Bravo
today.
airspace. Maintain own navigation.
Incredible. This Microsoft
Cleared through the
Flight
Bravo
has
airspace
incredible
TWC
detail
Delta.
at fairly low altitudes. At the bottom base altitude, like
TWC
Google
Delta,
Maps,
you're leaving my
or
airspace
Google
radar service
Earth,
terminated
it gets a
squawk
little blocky.
1200.
But when you're a couple hundred
Frequency
feet,
change
okay, this
approved.
above,
Squawk
it looks pretty real.
1200.
I'm circling over
Frequency change
Lakewood,
approved,
Lakewood is
TWC
an
Delta.
suburb. A lot of it was built in the 20s,
Cleveland approach
20s,
TWC
30s,
Delta
early
is type
20s.
5 miles northeast
Right
of
after
Cleveland,
World War I.
3,500 feet.
A bit
Request
different
flight
than later
following.
suburbs like where I live.
TWC Delta Cleveland approach.
I am following right now Rocky River Reservation. It is part of what we
Squawk
call
1246
the
TWC
Emerald
Delta.
Necklace. It's a Cleveland Metro Parks.
TWC Delta radar contact 4 miles northeast of Cleveland,
It
2,200
winds
feet.
through
Altimeter 29er
pretty much
decimal
most of the
82.
west side. A little bit of lag here.
Roger,
We got a lot of things
TWC
going
Delta.
on. And we got
Cleveland
a
approach
lot
TWC
of-
Delta.
A lot of people flying in this area.
Request
There's a
clearance to
lot of
transition
stuff. I don't
Bravo
have it really
airspace.
set for that. Coming back around, I
TWC
think
Delta
this
Cleveland approach.
is
Cleared through the Bravo airspace.
I-90, I think. There's railroad yards.
Cleared through Bravo airspace TWC
Yes, looks like
Delta.
I-90. Maybe, yeah, that's sort of...
Generic Zulu 5 niner climb and
Okay, there
maintain
we
flight
go.
level 190.
Maybe not. Maybe that's 71. That's I-90. Okay,
Climb
never
and
mind.
maintain flight
That
level
was 71.
190.
This
Generic
is
Zulu 5
I-90.
niner.
Heading towards downtown Cleveland.
Generic Zulu 5 niner contact Cleveland Center on 120.775.
Is most Cleveland going to tell you the east and west sides of Cleveland are very different as far as demographics. Less so in recent, less since the 90s. But
Going to 120.775 generic Zulu
there's
5
histories are
niner.
very different. How they were settled, who they were settled by, and how they were laid out. Heading towards downtown Cleveland. This is the stadium, the newer stadium. We had an old stadium in the same spot. We had very large rock concerts in here in the old stadium. This is Burke Lake Airport coming up. Oh, down below is the Rock Hall. This is Burke Lake for an airport. We have used to be air races, but air shows here. National air shows here. This is the shoreway, Route 6, I believe, Route 2. This power plant here this shows how Bing's map is very out to date. That power plant was closed down and bulldozed in the early 2000s. I was a community organizer involved in environmental issues, and I helped people in the neighborhood to challenge the air pollution permit for that facility. Our goal was not to shut it down. This, I think, not really sure what that is. Well, that's a water treatment plant, okay. Falling along the southern shore of Lake Erie. A lot of lag, oh well. You got a lot of things going on here. I have real weather, real time. As I mentioned before, Ornithopter is, of course, it's a fantasy or a science fiction aircraft, but it handles very much like a helicopter. It has, I think it has a very realistic feel. Somebody more accomplished than an actual pilot. As pilot may feel differently. I love it. I absolutely love this thing. Power plant here coming up, and this is annoying me. Yes, I can cursor. That's nice.
Cleveland departure generic November 751 Papa Lima is passing 1,500 feet, climbing 6,000 feet. Generic November 751 Papa Lima, Cleveland departure altimeter 29.83, radar contact continue.
Exactly where, but we're coming up on an area, it's called Conneaut, where every August there is a D-Day reenactment. Several days. People from all over the world come to this enactment. Canadians, especially British, have reenactors, sort of like the Civil War reenactment. Exactly where it is. Alright, this is here. Let me tell you. I don't know how far I've gone here. Let me see the map.
Papa Lima climb and maintain flight level 200. Climb and maintain flight level 200, generic 1 Papa Lima.
I'm guessing this is the Grand River. Okay, so personal experience of Grand River. Grand River is, of course, east of Cleveland. There have been a number of archaeological sites along this river. For those familiar with North American archaeology and North American history, during the proto-historic period, this wasn't very heavily, they didn't think it was not recorded as being very heavily populated by Native Americans. However, they found several sites. The assumption was that they were Erie Indians, thus Lake Erie. Erie Indians were an offshoot of the Haudenosaunee, otherwise known as Iroquois. However, in these archaeology sites, they found wigwams. Those are the dome-like structures made with bark-covered dome-like structures, or more Algonquin. The one site I was working at in the 80s was actually a house site. A guy dug up and rototilled up pottery shards And one of the notable features of the house was that there was a burial inside the house, which indicated that the person died in the middle of winter and they had to do something with the body, and they buried him inside. Also, there was an extensive burial site, graveyard, so to speak, that had a great deal of burials of all different ages, which indicates of some sort of health disaster. What they think of is probably around the 1600s, and smallpox or other diseases were spread by Europeans. It may not be direct contact at the time. It could have been through other tribes or people who are in direct contact. This decimated the populations of Native Americans in the region, and actually through the whole continent. So one of the women that one of the burials that I was involved with was a woman who died in childbirth. The baby, the unborn child, was in the birth canal. Made life very personal. Made this whole situation very personal. This was no longer some abstract set of bones. This was a human person. I mean, you always know that, but it doesn't really hit you until you experience something like that. And it's important when you hear about archaeological sites, you hear prehistoric, whatever, historical, prehistoric, to see them as real people with real lives. We talk about dehumanization of people in the present. Well, it's also important to humanize people in the past. They aren't just subjects. Coming back, and I'm going to buzz. Actually, I'm going to do a touch and go landing at Burke, as though it's an air show. Flying along the shoreway. Right over here, right next to the now non-existent power plant, is what's called the Horseshoe. It's a very popular fishing spot. Okay, so I'm lying on the runway and going to hit the brakes. The air brakes on this vehicle is amazing. Not only does it stop, stop horizontal movement or forward movement, but it also slows down vertical movement. Makes hovering and landing very easy compared to a helicopter. Don't forget to open the grant landing here. Imagine this is Labor Day weekend and having this fly in and blowing people's minds. Bless the maker and his water. What can I say? So let's see what externally looks like. I'm going to hit the cruise feature, what makes the wings very dragonfly-like. Just go still, and I'm going to fold the wings. So we're going to go, rotate around, so we've got our view, get a little bit of evening set, the lights are still on, and we're going to fold the wings. I think this is very cool, just like a dragonfly. Notice they rotate to maximize, or minimize space, I should say. Very much like in the movie Dune. Villeneuve's graphics team and model making teams did a superb job, as did whoever company designed this model for the flight simulator. It is superb. It is detailed as all heck. It looks very believable. As I mentioned in a previous video, or previous stream, this is looks like a 5-seat bird. Also, besides the side panels opening up, one of the main exits is in the rear, if you've seen the movie. It's also where any cargo will be released. not so clear here. You have these nozzles, these vane nozzles on the side, somewhat reminiscent of a Harrier, Hawker Sidney Harrier, but they're currently face side. Those are afterburner nozzles. This has a jet boost, as in the book, and that is in the movies. This thing can go near supersonic speed, if not supersonic speed. How realistic is it physically possible to be, regardless of materials? Who knows? But in this simulation, it does. Very simple. Very simple cockpit. Realize that in the Dune books, that automation is very rare. There was an incident called the Butlerian Jihad, which was a purging of all use of automatic technology. There are exceptions. I think it's the Ixians that sort of break those rules somewhat, but there are alternative ways. That's where the spice comes in, of handling very complicated data for space travel, things like that. So this supposedly has very little, if any, automation. It's all mechanical. I even supposedly biomechanical in the joints of the rotors, or the wings. Yeah, it's just a beautiful novel. I guess as you can see, it's just really cool, very easy access out. Beautiful views out of here. Back in. Closing the windows back up. Actually, it's very little flight, very little activity here right now. Usually, when I'm flying here, there's a lot of. Actually, I may have, but I just may have taken off that. Shut off the labels. So, I'm going to take off again. Let me unfold the wings. I guess I should show that. Okay, and we are going to start things up again by turning off the glide feature. A little bit too hard. Okay, gliding back up and setting controls to the heart of the sun, like the Pink Floyd song. Bypass that is the rock
Cleveland
fall
approach
right there.
TWZ Delta is type 1 miles
Stadium,
southwest
we're
of
gonna go
lakefront
around
800 feet. Request
Terminal
flight following.
Tower and
TWZ Delta Cleveland approach. Squawk 7303.
Squawk 7303, TWZ Delta.
TWZ Delta radar contact 2 miles south of lakefront 1,200 feet.
Not paying attention.
Altimeter 29.83.
Flying over the Congo River. This is the infamous
Roger,
river that
TWZ
burned.
Delta.
There was so much
Cleveland
pollution
approach TWZ Delta.
and volatiles
Request
in the
clearance
water
to transition
that
Bravo
it actually
airspace.
caught fire in the 60s. It was internationally
TWZ
known
Delta
for
Cleveland
that.
approach. Cleared through the Bravo
Over
airspace.
here is Whiskey Island. Over here a little bit.
Cleared through Bravo airspace, TWZ Delta.
Area that is known for a variety of reasons, also known as a spot for smugglers' boats during the 30s, 20s, smuggling booze in from Canada. There was definitely a mafia presence in Cleveland at the time. Flying along what I think is the Lakewood
TWZ Delta, you're leaving my airspace. Resume home
Head
navigation.
towards
Contact
Detroit.
Cleveland approach on 126.55. Good day.
126.55 TWZ
West,
Delta.
excuse me.
Goodbye. Cleveland approach TWZ Delta 2,700 feet.
TWZ Delta
is,
Cleveland
I
approach
told you
altimeter
before, is the
29.83 radar contact. Continue.
Let's fly for a ways, and then I can also hit
Cleveland
the
approach
clusters.
TWZ Delta. Request clearance to transition Bravo airspace.
Red hot. The Vegas.
TWZ Delta Cleveland approach. Cleared through the Bravo airspace.
Cleared through Bravo airspace TWZ Delta.
United 2226 traffic is 11 o'clock 3 miles at 5,900 feet generic. Report them in sight.
Actually, I'm gonna climb up a
United 2226 descend and maintain 4,000 feet. TWZ Delta, you're leaving my airspace. Resume own navigation. Contact Cleveland Center on 134.9. Good day.
134.9 TWZ Delta. Goodbye.
bit. Actually, I may not go all the way to Detroit.
Cleveland
I
Center,
am gonna fly
TWZ
towards
Delta
the islands.
7,900
Call the
feet.
islands. It's South Bass Island, North Bass Island, South
TWZ
Bass
Delta
Island.
Cleveland Center altimeter 29.83
Kelly's
radar
Islands.
contact. Continue.
Paley Island. These are all islands
TWZ
in the
Delta
shallower
contact
end of
Cleveland Center
Lake
on
Erie.
127.9. Good
I
day.
think what I'm heading towards right now is the
Southwest
Black River. If
2856
I'm not
contact Cleveland
mistaken.
Center on
This is Lorain, Ohio.
120.775.
This was a major
Good day.
Going to
shipbuilding and shipping
127.9 TWZ Delta.
for war and other
Cleveland
stuff,
Center,
other
TWZ
items,
Delta
goods,
9,300
mostly
feet.
raw materials for the industrial area, industrial base of Cleveland, Lorain.
Continue.
Lake boats are special freighters. They were very boxy to not ride over the waves, but the wavelengths of the waves
125.35
storms in Lake Erie,
TWZ
because
Delta.
the shell are very
Goodbye.
narrow, so that the
American
boats were designed to
2990
cut
descend and
through
maintain
the waves,
10,000
not over
feet.
them. Of course, the waves get way too high.
Cleveland approach
That
TWZ
becomes a
Delta.
problem. Thus,
Request clearance to transition Bravo
situations
airspace.
like the Edmund Fitzgerald famous
Cleared through
song
Bravo
thing.
airspace TWZ Delta.
It sunk, I think, in Lake Superior, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. Don't have that data in front of me. Gordon Lightfoot made that song famous in the 70s. There have been a lot of shipwrecks in these lakes. These lakes, when there's a major storm, can be very treacherous. Outside view. It's not every day you see a bug-like flying machine flying over Cleveland area. Just think if this was actually real and how people respond. Excuse me, now coffee here. I'm not slurping too loud. Beautiful evening.
Going to
Real time.
124.2 TWZ Delta. Cleveland approach TWZ Delta
I think I'm going to land
5,200
on the
feet.
islands. I don't know if I have with a non-premium account. I don't know how much time I have, but I'm just trying to get some used to streaming here or actually doing YouTube videos in general. Okay, here are the islands. I can see them up here. I'm going to stick to the islands. There we go. Now, climb up a bit. area here is much more shallow. It's wonderful, great fishing. Most of the lake, you go for more deep water, freshwater fish, walleye, whitefish, things like that. Here you can find shallow water fish like
126.35 TWZ Delta.
small and largemouth bass and other fish as
Cleveland
well.
approach
This is a very
TWZ
popular
Delta,
fishing spot.
6,400 feet.
Okay, got clouds here. And I think we're coming up on Sandusky. So Huron, Ohio. Huron has a very good metro park. I think that's it down there. Old Wood Creek, which is a superb state park, or actually local park. And I think we're coming up on the pier here. We also have a very famous amusement park here, Cedar Point, that has been around for a very long time, very popular. Used to be very affordable, not so much anymore, like so many other things. And I'm going to do the drops, so switch to exterior view. And down we go. Chances to get down to real low speed, low altitude, high speed, trading height for speed. As a air combat veteran will tell you, those are the two major variables here. I think general vicinity of the islands. Okay, here we go. So offhand, I can't tell you which island this is coming up. Beautiful view. Let's see, there's not a lot of things in here. Let's see. Actually, a fair amount. So let me see if we can turn it back on. Sorry. Oh well. Sorry about it.
132.45 TWZ Delta. Goodbye.
This general vicinity is
Cleveland Center,
Point Bay
TWZ
is
Delta,
Perry's National
6,900
Monument.
feet.
There was a very famous battle, a War of 1812. Actually, part of Napoleonic Wars
126.35 TWZ
in
Delta.
Lake Erie and right off
Goodbye.
these islands was the battle between
Cleveland
the
approach
United States and the
TWZ
British.
Delta,
The United States
5,100
won,
feet.
and it cut off supplies to the British fighting over more in the Detroit area. However, the British did do well. They fought against the British and the famous Shawnee warrior and the various tribes underneath him, Tecumseh, over near the Windsor area. We have a lot of really good, really detailed history in what's called the Old Northwest period, basically from colonial times through the American Revolution and the War of 1812. Native Americans were banned from the north part of the state, treated in Greenville, and then lower later on. Shawnee were prominent in the southern part of the state. This was sort of a no man's land. Sandusky area was populated by the Wyandot. Wyandot are actually an Iroquois group. They spoke the same language as the Iroquois, are very similar, but they were not part of the Six Nations. They were a separate group and a rival of the Iroquois Confederacy, or the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. They were considered very much enemies. sided with the French, sided with the British against the Iroquois. And were very much persecuted because of that. Shawnee airborne to the south towards Columbus. Ottawa, apparently we're here. Moses Cleveland met Ottawa when he came to the Cauga River, and they greeted him. The reenactment of that in the anniversary of Cleveland was done with the participation, somewhat unwillingly or reluctantly, by Russell Means, who was of American Indian movement fame. This was in the 60s or 70s, and it was quite an event because he refused the guy who played Moses Cleveland. Russell Means says, "Wait a minute, I don't think."
Going to 1 tree, 4 decimal tree, TWZ Delta.
I don't
Detroit
exactly
approach,
quote.
TWZ
Somebody
Delta
else
5,100 feet.
can correct me on the full story. Phil Yenyo, if you're watching this, is the American Indian Movement representative in the area. Maybe you can fill people in the comments. Sorry if I don't get my historical accuracy right. Shoot me. But there's a lot of history. Now I'm heading towards Canada.
Detroit approach,
Our neighbor to
TWZ
the
Delta.
north.
Request clearance to
A lot of
transition
people
Charlie
in
airspace.
my Air Attack Tactical Combat Group are Canadian.
Cleared through
as
Charlie
is my
airspace,
squadron
TWZ Delta.
in virtual air combat and flying. This is part of Ottawa, Canada. Actually, the major city that's due north of Cleveland is London, Canada. I don't want to be flying over that, but I think we'll land somewhere. I'm going to try to find like PA layout if I can find it here. Maybe way off course. But part of this is the view is so fantabulous below. So even though this is a fictional aircraft, it is superb for sightseeing. And I'm just going to land somewhere. Freak out some Canuck. A lot of wind turbines. I notice when I fly over Canada, we have a lot of wind turbines. Not so much the United States. We have to sing against the environmentalism in the United States right now, which is really sad. Really, really sad. Let me see where the map is here. I'll get an idea of where I'm doing here. Okay, this. Okay, I am considerably further west than I thought. I am actually heading towards Detroit and towards Windsor. So this is the Detroit River, I think. And so I did manage to get here. And we're gonna go fly St. I think I'm trying to land near the St. Clair River, if I'm not mistaken here. Shut the camera. Oh, here. Pardon my awkwardness. This is only my second stream. And with this computer, with these airfield, like I'm on an airfield, that's for babies. I'll find some other spot to land. This thing can land anywhere. Almost anywhere. A lot of aircraft here. Well, there's an airfield there. I think that was for sure. That is Detroit. Detroit, of course, is the automobile capital of the world, or at least it used to be. Major automobile manufacturing, loads of labor history. It was a fort in the colonial period and the Revolutionary War of 1812, Pontiac's Rebellion. I was figured prominently there. We're heading in, this is Michigan. I was in Ohio, and this is a different state. Detroit is very much like Cleveland, but economically much more ahead than Cleveland is right now.
124.05 TWZ
Great
Delta.
Lakes
Goodbye.
region has hit
Detroit approach
very much
TWZ
by
Delta 4,600 feet.
NAFTA and other trade agreements that have allowed industrialization of other countries with very, very low labor standards and pay. We don't get to that. Don't get into politics. I'm not trying to do that. It's hard for me to do.
TWZ Delta have the traffic.
Yes, I guess we'll land at this airport. I think this is Detroit International. Even though I have this braking feature, it's good to slow down. This plane's coming right towards me, or maybe I'm landing. Okay, I'm gonna get out of this way. I'm gonna land on the taxiway here. And of course, with all the traffic here, it's slow. There's a lot of lag, a lot of room for error. Okay, and I'm gonna land on the taxiway here, right over here, unless there's planes on. Okay, and Okay, so took off 9:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, landed at 9:44. Total flying 33 minutes and 23 minutes. Looks good. Back to main menu. And